Hello everyone, I am here. I made it. Before we get started, I would like to apologize for missing last week's video because my grandmother was very sick. She was in the hospital. I had family down here with me and we were trading off shifts to visit her. It was really bad, so I wasn't able to film a video because my hands were completely tied with that. So I do want to apologize to you guys for missing the video, although it was completely justifiable why I didn't post a video or have time to film one or do anything. But I just wanted to say that, again, I'm sorry. My grandmother is doing better. She's been discharged from the hospital and she's back in to her nursing home and she's her happy perky self, so I feel better. Today's video in the plant series is going to be on Monstera Stilepecana, although you already know this from clicking on the link. A lot of people want this. A lot of people are after this plant. Shameless plug, I have some of these plants available for sale. I'm actually selling propagated cuttings right now. So if you want some of that, let me know, or just be watching out for them in our sponsored page, which I'm going to get into right now. Today's sponsor and channel sponsor for this video series specifically is Plants Across America. Not only can you find the plant that we are talking about in this video on this page for sale, you can find pretty much almost any type of plant that you're looking for on this page. You can post an in search of ISO. We also do daily ISOs, so if you're looking for something, you can put it there. All right, so in this video today, we're going to be talking about pretty much everything you need to know to keep this plant alive, as well as some interesting facts. So we're going to start with the origin story of this plant. I didn't know that there was a lot of nicknames for the Monstera Stilepecana, all of which are wrong, by the way. So let's just cover those. Nay. So a lot of people actually call this plant a Swiss cheese plant. Wrong. Very wrong. A Swiss cheese plant actually refers to a Monstera deliciosa and a Monstera adansonii, both forms of Monstera adansonii. That's mainly the nickname for those types of plants. Adansonii is something that I have not covered on this channel yet, and I will. But they call it a Swiss cheese plant because of the holes in the leaves. If you have not seen last week's video, I highly encourage you to go do that. And by last week's video, I actually mean the week before last because I was not present on this channel then. But it talks about why there are holes in the leaves of these Monstera plants, and that's kind of how they get the nickname Swiss cheese plant. Monstera Stilepecana doesn't necessarily have holes in it in its juvenile form. 95% of people who have this as a house plant, you're not going to have holes in the leaves because people tend to like this plant as a juvenile form more so as the adult form, both of which I'm going to show you in a minute. Another thing I found online is people are calling this a Monstera siltine. Saltine. Yes. Siltine. No, just don't do that. I don't like that. A lot of people are also calling this a silver queen philodendron. That is also very wrong. And classification wise, that's very incorrect because you can't have a Monstera that is a philodendron. That's two completely different categories in the taxonomy classification. A ton of eBay listings say Monstera philodendron, and that is completely wrong. Don't do that. It is a Monstera. It's not a philodendron, it's a Monstera. All right, so these plants are found in the tropics. They're actually found in the same locations as you would find the other Monstera plants, like Deliciosa. The week before last, we spoke about the specific areas that you can get these plants in. So I really think that you should go watch the Monstera deliciosa video before you watch this one, because it's going to clarify everything that I just talked about a second ago in this video, so it might help you to do that. And I don't know what this is. Juvenile form looks completely different than the adult form. So let me show you the plant that I have now. I'm going to kind of hold this back just close to my head so that you can have a comparison. I am not trying to do the Kaylee Ellen head test. I'm not stealing that. I'm just trying to give you an idea. It's in a 4-inch pot, what I have right now. This is still the nursery pot that I ordered it in. So I'm going to show you this up close. So these leaves actually have a lot of quote unquote silvery sheen, and really it also kind of depends on which one you buy. I've seen Stilepecanas that have a lot more silvery sheen than this, and I've seen Stilepecanas that are a little bit more on the darker green side. I think a lot of that has to do with the lighting conditions and what they're grown in before they get to you, because it actually just, I mean, every single seller and buyer, it's going to look a little bit different. Regardless, they do shoot up. This plant, I think, just to give you an idea, has a lot of characteristics similar to a pothos or an Epipremnum pinnatum or an Epipremnum aureum, in the fact that they grow with shoots that are like this. If I can get this back in focus, that's my face. But they have a lot of shoots that shoot out from the side like this, and a pothos is going to do this. So the growth pattern really is going to be similar to a pothos. So if you have a pothos, I think that the next step up would probably be this in terms of difficulty level, just because this requires just a smidge more of humidity and just a smidge more of watering. This will die as opposed to a pothos plant that you just can't really ever seem to kill these days. So these plants actually grow pretty large, and they change a lot. Now, they do get holes in them. The Juvenile Form, which is what you're going to have in your house, unless you stick that thing in perfect condition and put it on a pole for it to climb up half of your wall, the leaves aren't going to get a ton bigger, and you're probably not going to be able to get it to the point where it gets holes in it, because it generally takes 2 to 3 years of perfect conditions for this to get fenestrations or holes in it. All right, so the boring part, I'm going to slide on in here. It's classified under Monstera, not philodendron. But if you want to look at the rest of it, that is right here for you to see. Now it is gone because we're going to talk about my favorite part, which is the types. Now there's 2 types of Stilepecana, 2. Count them, 2. So I'm going to pull Mr. Regular Form back out just so that you can see what I'm talking about here. Now, if you noticed, these are actually quite small. If you look at my face, if you look at these leaves, they're actually quite small. And I actually kind of like them because they're cute. And when they're smaller, I feel like the saturation in color is a little bit more intense, and it looks good with the contrast of the silver and the green. My personal opinion. This is the regular form. Now, there is another form called an El Salvador form. When I first got a Stilepecana, I didn't know this. And I find this very interesting because I ordered a Stilepecana off of eBay. It came in. I was like, this is way bigger than I anticipated it to be. It had 2 leaves, and that's it. It was larger than I expected it to be. And I was like, it's fine. I just got a good deal. Someone sent me something. I've grown it out, and I had it trailing up, and then I cut it and propagated it and sold a bunch of them. And then now I've got it bushing back out again, and it's regrowing back out. I would like it to get a lot bushier. And I've got it right here with me. I'm about to show you guys the difference so that we can kind of compare. But before we do, I just want to say I actually acquired this El Salvador Stilepecana by accident because I ordered a regular one. I got the El Salvador one in, realized that it was the El Salvador like a month later, tried to contact the seller, and the seller never got back with me. So in regards to that, I don't feel bad because I did what I was supposed to do. I always try to do the right thing by buying and selling no matter what. Ignore the janky tag because of the pot that I put it in. It's kind of different. But as you can see on this, the leaves on this is actually a lot bigger. Let me see if I can get you up close there. The leaves on this is a lot bigger, and these are juvenile small leaves. I don't have any teeny tiny leaves on this thing. This is a new one that just came out. This is an established leaf. You can notice that the contrast is a world of difference. On an El Salvador, there's usually more silver than there is green, and vice versa for the regular form. But I like the fact that once you start trailing an El Salvador and you get it growing up a pole and the leaves get larger, it keeps this silvery sheen up to a certain point. So if I started trailing this like I want to, I could end up with a leaf literally as big as my head and still have this amount of silvery sheen on it. And that's my end goal. So it's kind of difficult to realize the different types if you don't necessarily know what you're looking for, or if you've never had a Stilepecana before. So I achieved this by accident, and I kind of feel bad that I did. But if you look at these side by side, you'll notice this one is trailing down, and the leaves are really small. This one, my leaves are coming out pretty large, and the plant in general is just a lot bigger. If these plants were both, a decent size, then it would be a lot more apparent. But that is kind of my gem that I've been holding on to for a while, because you can't really find these anywhere else. And just to let you know, this is not for sale. I don't have any more cuttings for sale of this. I have a lot of the regular form that's available for sale. This plant, I can't find it. I wanted to buy more so that I could propagate and I could make more plants, and then I could have this kind of available on the shop. And I can't find it. I've tried reaching out to the seller. Of course, he hasn't responded back to me at all. I've tried reaching out to other people, and they just say that I have to do some digging to try to find it, which basically means no. But I'm just going to have to grow this guy out and propagate him while I'm still looking. All right, so let's talk about care instructions for this plant. Now, as far as humidity, these plants, clearly they're going to thrive in high humidity. I have mine in 80% humidity, which is the highest recommendation of humidity for them to go in. Of course, I have to check on them every single day, because the higher humidity you put these plants in, the more chance of rot that they're going to have. But they'll do just fine in like 50% humidity. And if you just even if you want one for decoration, just get like a small, tiny, cheap humidifier and just have it running beside it or something like that. If you're absolutely crazy about plants and you have a ton, you probably already have a humidifier to keep it up in the room. If not, and you just want to plant here or there, these will be fine. Sunlight. This is actually kind of interesting, because most of these plants, any type of research I ever do says bright and direct sunlight, and I agree with that, but I think that once these plants get acclimated to a specific type of condition, you should keep them in that, because clearly these plants want to grow in the tropics with huge humidity and huge heat, and that's where they do their best. However, if you've trained a plant to be in house conditions, you should try to keep it that way as much as possible if it's doing well. Don't mess up a bad thing, which is what I did. I had my El Salvador right up next to a window. It was getting bright and direct sunlight, as bright as you can possibly get it without it being in direct sunlight. And it was drying up so quickly that I could barely get to it in between waterings, because the soil was drying out so quickly, and it was in such a small pot that it was kind of hindering the plant. So I pulled it away from the window. I put it underneath a grow light with some high humidity, and now I water it like once every week and a half to 2 weeks, and it's growing faster and better than it was before. So really, you just kind of have to play with whatever works for you. If you want to try it right next to a window. It really just depends on how much light you get let into your apartment. But I've found with my plant specifically that it does best in like medium light. Watering, I pretty much say this every single video, and I'm going to keep saying it every single video. Stick your finger in the soil. If the top 2 inches of soil are dry, water your plant. These plants, generally when I water mine, I don't soak them all the way through. I just kind of give them a good dousing since I have them in such high humidity. But it's okay to let it dry out a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. Keep it moist, don't keep it drenched or wet. If you want to let it dry out a little bit and then drench it, it's not going to kill it. Just be consistent with that. But I mean, the general theme for aeroids apply here. Just keep it moist. All right, so last but not least, we're going to talk about propagation. If you've propagated a pothos, you can propagate a Monstera Stilepecana. It's really easy. I'm going to use El Salvatore for this because since it's bigger, I can show you the internodal spacing. If you've seen my previous videos, you kind of already know what I'm going to say, but actually have the plant with me so I can show you this time. You can see the internodal spacing. There's an aerial root right here. If you get up in that, you can kind of see it. There's internodal spacing here. There's another node right here where the leaf is popping out. You can cut there. I mean, I really wouldn't recommend it. You're always going to kind of want 2 nodes if you can get it, just to be safe. So if I was going to chop and prop this, I would probably cut down here underneath this node. That way it's going to give me optimal chances for propagating. And then you can stick this in water if you want to, or you can stick it in sphagnum moss or soil. This is strictly from experience. If you, or literally everyone else other than me, has a better experience, then please share it. Put it in the comments down below. But anytime I've ever propagated a Stilepecana, I'll propagate it, I'll put it in water because that tends to be one of the faster ways. But for me, this thing will sit in water for 2 to 3 weeks before it'll start growing aerial roots. I don't know why. I don't even know if that's normal. That's just how it happens for me. So if you put something in water, or I even use nutrient water, I use Super Thrive, I use a lot of other things to kind of help the plant along. And it still takes 2 to 3 weeks for it to start growing roots. So don't throw it away after a week if you think it's defective or not going to work. If it's not dead, don't throw it away. All right, you guys. So I just want to remind you again, go check out the link below for plants across America. Join. We have grown like over 2,000 in like 2 weeks. So we were at 3,200 last time we spoke. Now we're over 5,000. So it's growing very quickly. So I'm very appreciative to you guys who have joined and are watching this or haven't. And be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you can see these videos every single Friday. And I have a lot of other videos filmed. I'm just not going to lie. I haven't been able to edit them yet because that's a beast all on its own. But look for those in the future, hopefully soon. And I will see you guys in the next video.